Okay, sure. Yeah, we do have sound. We should have sound now. We were muted on purpose because they were still trying to get everything cranking, crack-a-lacking, whatever you want to say. I hope we got sound, y'all. Just make sure that we do.
It's been a while since we've done a show, so I'm fully expecting some type of hiccup.
Yeah, our mics were muted. That's why you didn't have sound. They're muted on purpose because Brian was saying obscene things and just terrible stuff. And we don't want anybody to hear that. So, no, in all seriousness, though, it's been a few weeks. We are glad to be back with another episode of Let's Talk Fish, your favorite fishing podcast, right?
My favorite.
It's the only one you listen to.
It's the only one.
Oh, wait, you don't even listen to it.
No. But I'm here, so I know what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's obviously happy late Thanksgiving to everybody. Merry early Christmas. Hopefully we'll have another episode or two before Christmas time. But we are.
We only got like 1 week, I think.
Is that it?
I think next week, and then the next week's Christmas.
No, Christmas is like on a Monday, so Christmas got to be a couple weeks away. Isn't it?
You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I ain't got a calendar in front of me. All I know is it's already December.
Well, as y'all know, a couple quick announcements. Let's Talk Fish is presented by English Choice Marine, which is your one-stop shop, not just for White River Marine brand boats, your Rangers, which Brian and I are slightly partial to. We've been running Rangers.
I've been running one since 2006.
I'm at 2004, so I got you beat.
You got me beat.
So, but cumulative, that's what? That's like that's like 38 years or something like that. Is that right? 37 years, something like that. That's a long time. Nitro, obviously, Triton, Sun Tracker boats, the whole 9 yards. They got it all. English Choice Marine in Spindale, North Carolina, Lexington, North Carolina, and Martinsville, Virginia. We get closer to January, and we will announce their open house dates. Do not forget about that. They have a lot of they'll have a lot of great sales going on. Speaking of which, sales. So everybody's been complaining and yelling about interest rates in the boat industry and things like that. But there is a limited time sale going on right now. I got it right here, and I'm gonna try to blow it up.
I saw that.
So with any 2023 and prior year boat model purchase, receive 5.99% APR or a free gift card and premium boat cover. Compliments of Bass Pro Shops.
Yes. With
any 2024 model year boat purchase, receive 6.99. Now, comparatively speaking, those are pretty killer rates.
That's
as of
what's
late.
going on. That's really good.
Yeah, it is.
That's almost half.
That's good math, Brian. It's solid.
I mean, it's almost
solid. So, another quick announcement with Angler's Choice, y'all. They just announced their tournament trail schedule for next year. By the way, the Moss Lake Thursday Night Tournament Trail, as far as I know, talked to Mike Burchett up in Spindale a little while back. It's a go for 2024. What year is it? 2023?
Yeah.
2024. Yeah.
It's a little bit long.
The Thursday Night Tournament Series is a go for next year. They still plan to pay the English Choice bonus bucks in that.
Nice.
Another killer championship at the end of the year with a huge payout for Moss Lake standards. And on top of that, they announced their tournament trail for next year. They've got a Virginia division and a North Carolina division. They've announced their dates and all, which are listed on their Facebook page or website, etc. But they also have the Angler's Bucks, which is pretty killer. There's a couple bonuses you get. Angler's Choice Marine, the Angler's Choice Team Tournament Trail, it's like a tongue twister, has Angler's Bucks.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, to the top 3 boats that bought from Angler's Choice Marine. Top 3. Now, it doesn't have to be first, second, third, just the top 3 finishers.
Yeah, you could finish 20th.
Correct. $1,500, $1,000, and $500 to the top 3. There's also a White River Marine bonus of $8,000 if you win the event. So, and your boat is White River Marine.
So that's like $9,500 up for grabs.
Oh yeah. I got a buddy, Bo Adams, who won. Bo, if he listens to this, he can freak out because I said his name on the show because he always gives me crap for never mentioning his name. No, he's a good dude, but he's won a lot of money on Jordan early season, February, March, and he won. I want to say he won one of these events and put over 10 grand in his pocket, something like that. So, really good payout. They also have a lot of other sponsors they brought in for next year, like apparel sponsors, rod and reel sponsors, where they're giving out awards for like the biggest 3 fish limit, the smallest 5 fish limit, random boat numbers.
I like the little Calcuttas like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fun. That makes a tournament fun.
100%. They're going to give away 2 Reaper jackets at each tournament, 2 AFCO Reaper jackets. They're awesome if you never want a reaper. Let's
I
see.
wonder if you're fishing as a team, can you weigh in like a big 5 fish limit and then keep your 5 smallest and try to go for the smallest limit too?
Wait, say that again.
So like if me and you were fishing together, like North Carolina rule, we can keep 5 per person.
Oh yeah.
So we could have our 5 fish, our big limit, try to win.
And put your 3 in the other box.
And then put our smallest limit in the other box to try to win that too.
Feel like they're only going to let you weigh in one limit, but I might be wrong. I mean, you go up. I don't know, because when you go up there to weigh in, you turn your boat number and they'll say, you take the big limit, I'll take the little limit. And just weigh.
Yeah.
Give them the same
I'll
boat
weigh
number.
in the little limit.
Are we fishing the Shining Hope tournament? Brandy, I am. Is that the one?
Is that the one you sent?
I think that's the one I sent you today. Yeah.
I'm going to be out of town.
Yeah, we were actually. It's so funny you said that, Brandy, because I text that flyer to Brian, and
I would love to fish it.
Yeah, obviously for a great cause, and hey, a heck of a payout too.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5,000 for first, and
Yeah.
3,000, 2,000, so something like that for second, third.
Right here.
And yeah, I texted it to you, but yeah, a great event for a great cause. But we're not most likely. I know Brian cannot make it, and I most likely won't make it. There's a possibility, but I doubt it. It's not looking real good right now, but. Anyway, yeah, y'all get your chance. Swing over to Anglers Choice Marine. Get in on the great deals they got, the great end of the year sales, the great offers from White River Marine right now with the different promotions they got going on.
Christmas presents, man. Go to the tackle store.
Oh, yeah.
Buy some Christmas
Yeah,
presents.
acmtackle.com. Y'all heard us talk about it, but you really can't fathom it until you walk in the store. I mean, online you can see the goodies.
Yeah.
But like when you walk in that store, it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Got a lot of really nice stuff. All right, tonight's topic is actually Tyler sent me a text earlier today, and the text was, hold on, I got to get back to it and see what the text said. But I said, Tyler, what? I said, you always have come up with good questions. I said, what's a good potential topic for tonight?
I don't think it was quite that like that, but
Well, I said, what? Huh? I said, topic ideas. And you said,
I had no idea.
His exact words were this, but this is what I had a light bulb go off. And he said, how I need to not be as hard-headed when fishing and adapt to the conditions on tournament day and pick up a spinning rod so I don't get my butt whooped by it. Laugh out loud. That's the exact text, word for word. So basically, in a nutshell, to me, that kind of created our topic tonight, which is when to say when.
And we kind of touched on this a little bit at our last show, talking about our winning championship at Moss Lake.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
So we can go in depth.
Yeah, we can really go into depth about when to say when. And what Tyler was referring to more specifically was like, a lot of us have a comfort zone. First, we'll start off by saying this. A lot of us have a comfort zone when we go bass fishing. And that comfort zone might be, and this is the typical
skipping a jig, throwing a spinner bait.
Correct. It's what you want the fish to be doing.
Right.
I think
it's kind of weird. Like, I guess there's people out there, but like all the techniques we just mentioned are power fishing techniques.
Correct.
Because I guess it's fun. Like, it's fun to go skip a big jig under a dock or throw a frog up in a shaded pocket and stuff like that. Makes you feel like a man. But I'm sure there's people that.
So how do you feel when you pick up a spinning rod?
I feel less of a man.
Okay. It's a good description.
But there's got to be people out there that's their go-to. Like, that's what they enjoy, and what they go to the lake and they're like, hey, I'm gonna go throw this shaky head and have some fun. Like, that's like their go-to, like what they love to do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a couple pros that come to mind out there.
It's probably more up north than it is down south. But
Well, not anymore.
That's true.
Used to be.
Good point.
So if you look at David Dudley is a perfect example.
Yeah,
for as
wacky
long
world.
for in his wacky
Yes.
world. For as long as I've been around, he never has to worry about when to say when because he starts on the back of the wind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's already said when before.
Just know that if his boat's in the water, he's throwing a wacky word.
Yeah. And we're talking about finesse techniques and things like that, but we'll go into depth even more about kind of when to say when based on certain situations. Correct. So,
A ton of variables.
I'm going to come up with a situation, Brian, and you figure out and explain to the folks on when to say when. So I have.
Well, you got to take into account if you got to practice. So that
No, I'm just going to give you a scenario because most of our viewers might get one practice day or none.
I know, but that can determine a lot of it. See, if you go to a lake blind, like say it's been a week since you've been there.
You're not blind anymore. You got forward-facing sonar.
I know, but you haven't been on the lake practicing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So if you haven't been practicing, like I've always got to start out with a power technique.
Correct. So just to keep them honest.
Right. But if I've been on a lake and I've practiced for a day or two and I've got like 4 bites a day, I know I'm probably going to come out of the gate with the spinning pole.
Well, you're like me. You want to put 5 fish in the box.
Right.
And you fish better that way. Well, I mean,
I agree.
now you got to put 100 fish back in the box. It's 5 last year, now it's 100 again.
Yeah, gotta catch it again now.
But all right, so what Brian's talking about, let's just say you do have a pretty good idea going into an event, and you roll up on your first place where you have multiple ice. Let's just call it a ledge or a point or just a creek channel sling, whatever it is, where there's
Just
a group of fish out there. Yeah, and you catch one on the first cast, and then it just dies. You can see. Let's just say now when you're talking forward-facing sonar, so you can see fish there.
Right.
What's your next move, Brian? How long do you stay, and when do you say when?
How long do I stay on the spot?
Yeah. I mean, when to say when? Like,
If I know they're there and I don't feel like I have something better, I will sit there and try to force feed those fish
okay.
for, a good portion of the day if I feel like that's my best chance at winning. Perfect case in point, I'm going to throw up the last FLW event we had at Lake Travis. I ended up finishing second.
Oh, 2007, our rookie year.
No, it's like 2017, I believe it was. Yeah, 17.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking. Didn't you finish second in the one in 07?
Yeah, I finished second then too.
Forgive me.
So that tournament, we were there in February. Fish were just getting ready to spawn. Most of them were pre-spawn, some getting up to spawn. But I found a rock ledge in practice, and it was only about 100 yards long in like 20 to 25 feet of water. And I made one pass down in practice, caught like a 4-pounder and shook 2 off on a jig. So I'm thinking that's pretty good. I may go there and start. So I ran over there first thing in the morning, picked up a jig, went all the way down it and only got 1 bite, caught one like 2-pounder. And Scott Martin's on this same ledge with me. And he was throwing.
I was inside of y'all.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, you were just right up there. I forgot about that. So this one ledge, I know.
I didn't know exactly what was going down at the time, but I was inside of y'all.
You didn't hear Scott yelling at me?
I didn't.
To quit catching big ones?
No, I didn't hear that. I was too far away.
So anyway, me and Scott's going down this ledge, and like I'm going behind him, and I've already made 1 pass with a jig and caught 1 2-pounder. And I'm like, I know these. This was before forward-facing sonar, before all the Humminbird Mega Lives and all this stuff. And I went down there with the jig, caught 1, and me and Scott are sitting there fishing, 50 feet apart, 100 feet apart. I'm like, I'm going to throw a shaky head. I pick up a shaky head and go down that same ledge that me and Scott have been fishing for the last hour and catch 5 that weighs 25 pounds.
Yeah, it's the biggest bag of tournament.
Biggest bag of the tournament. I caught 5 bass
Oh,
off of
shaky
it, weighed
head.
25 pounds on a shaky head that would not bite a jig. They wouldn't touch it. And to me, that was one scenario that taught me a lesson about finesse fishing. Is finesse fishing doesn't mean you're fishing for little ones. It means you're fishing for what's there. If there's big ones there, you're going to catch big ones. So, go to places where you big ones live, where you can get a big bite. They're going to bite that finesse stuff too. They're not just down there looking for a 5-course meal. They'll bite some little stuff too.
So I saw a comment from Jeff Parker said, when the forward-facing sonar isn't showing anything anymore, ha ha ha. Well, believe it or not, Jeff, that's not, obviously in this day and age, a very accurate statement. But that's dealing with a lot of suspended fish. And then you go through a rotation of baits, which everybody kind of has a rotation that they like. But, Brian's saying when to say when he does go through a full rotation of baits, and he does transition over to finesse techniques. Never, ever leave a spot with fish on it before you go through a full rotation of offerings. And I'll typically start big and go to small. Some people will
Right.
start small and go to big. But again, like Brian said, it goes back to your practice.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a particular bait in mind that they're just absolutely, stroking on every cast, then start with that, obviously.
Right.
But I do like to throw power fishing stuff first, bigger baits first, just to try to trigger maybe the biggest fish out there to eat for whatever reason.
And if it's a good spot that fish are there, don't limit your offerings to one style. Like, a jig and a shaky head, they're two different baits and two different sizes, but it's pretty much the same style of fishing. You're dragging that bait on the bottom. So, fish something mid-water column. Fish something that's going to suspend a couple feet off the bottom, wind a swim bait over them, throw a jerk bait. You want to give them different looks at different, actually, styles of bait and styles of retrieve, from a fast retrieve to a slow methodical retrieve, something to try to generate that first strike, because a lot of time if it is a one specific spot, if you can ever get a couple of those fish to bite, you can usually ignite a little flurry and keep it going. I know countless times, and I'm sure Matt saw this as well, on the Tennessee River or somewhere where you're fishing an actual school of fish, you may get them to start biting something like a big swim bait. But my rule of thumb was whenever I got them to start biting, if I went more than 3 casts without a bite, I laid that bait down and picked up something else to try to keep them going on something else, just to show them something different. And you'd be amazed at how many times, you pull up there, catch 5 in a row on a crankbait, then you make a couple casts, don't get a bite, pick up a swim bait, you catch 3 or 4 in a row, make a couple casts, don't get a bite, pick up a football jig, catch 3 or 4 in a row, and then they quit biting it, and you go to a shaky head. And just by changing that bait, instead of keep pounding them with the same thing they're not biting, you can usually keep that school active and keep them fired up a little bit longer.
Yeah, and always keep them honest. Tennessee River, schools of fish on the Tennessee River, does that stuff still exist?
I don't know if it does. I haven't fished Tennessee River in quite some time.
I've heard that there are no schools left on the Tennessee River. They're all like onesies, twosies now.
I don't know. Seriously, I don't think I've fished the Tennessee River other than I guess like Gunnersville counts as Tennessee River, other than Gunnersville in a long time. But I haven't fished it during a ledge time of year.
Right, yeah. Yeah, instead of 25 mega schools on Pickwick now, I think there's 473 schools, 2 to 4 fish schools. Yeah.
That's right up my alley if they're sitting on one rock.
No, they just constantly run.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's what they do. I mean, from the pressure. But forward-facing sonar, by the way, y'all, it's not, I hate to say it's not a cure-all, it's close, but it's to the point where there's a lot of fish. Here's the thing, forward-facing sonar fish, in my opinion, you always need to stay, once you see how they position, everything you offer needs to stay above them for the most part, unless they're on the bottom. Some of those fish on the bottom, even on forward-facing sonar, to me, can pretty much hide.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
You've got about 18 inches of separation from the little bit of time I've spent playing with it. That's what I've came up with. You've got about 12 to 18 inches of bottom separation that you can't really know exactly what's there.
Yeah, and you really need to pay attention to those little lumps and stuff on the bottom.
That's what I'm saying.
That you ignore half the time. And
That's bass.
when they start to change shape, you'll realize, oh, that might have been a bass. And I'm going to tell you right now, when we fish, and I think we talked about this, and if we did on the last episode, forgive me, but the majority of the fish that we caught, number one, we didn't really see on forward-facing sonar, but I did see some on forward-facing sonar, and they were looked like little
scooting across the bottom.
Yeah, they literally look like a slug going across, this floor.
You don't have any separation in the water column. They're literally setting, they're not down on the bottom, because if you've ever noticed I did this with a drop shot. That's how I kind of figured out it was about 18 inches, was I could throw my bait out, and I know my weight's sitting on the bottom, and I could just barely see my bait above the bottom, where it wasn't down in the bottom.
But there was a gap.
I could see it there was a little bit of a gap where I could tell, it was.
And that was with an 18, and
that's about 18 inches. So you're talking about, my bait was this far off the bottom, and that's where I got the separation. If it was any lower, you didn't see anything.
Yeah. And that's, to get into finer details, that's an 18-inch leader, roughly, using Humminbird forward-facing sonar. Not to say everyone's different, but everything's going to be a little bit different. So point is, don't hold Brian to every detail that he said exactly. And come back and say, you were wrong.
The key takeaway is just know there's a section of the water column near the bottom that
is very slim.
You may not be able to see them sitting there.
Yeah, and especially if you're fishing a ledge and or a ditch or something like that with a real tight.
You've got a vertical.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. As good as our sonar is, how many fish can hide from it. And you know what's funny about that day when we caught all those fish on the worm on the bottom is you could throw stuff over top of their head, and if the ones were sitting on the bottom, they wouldn't even rise up to it.
No,
wouldn't even look at it.
No,
like they wouldn't even move.
Yeah, the whole time Matt's back there on the back of the boat, so I'm spot locked, and he's throwing back to the back of the boat, and I mean he's catching one about every second or third cast.
Co-angler special in it.
Oh yeah, like every 2 or 3 casts, get the net. That's a little one, get the net. And I'm throwing jerk baits, I'm throwing swim baits, I'm throwing my doohickey underspin. I'm catching nothing the whole time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Jeff said you have to scan super slow because it's super easy to pass by them, and that's very true. It's a good tip for all the forward-facing sonar users out there is to pay attention to detail. I'm talking about detail within the detail within the detail, because as good as the units are, in a perfect world, we all want to be seeing 6 blobs over 20 foot of water, 10 foot off the bottom, swimming around and run up and eat the first thing we throw at them, but it just doesn't work like that. It's getting a little bit tougher and tougher. So, Nate, I'm 99% sure. I did see that post. So, one of the elite rookies.
I saw it too. Was it legit?
I'm 99% sure that was a joke. So, his whole point in that post was kind of making a stab at, when are we going to actually put limits on what our boats are going to look like in the future. And the boy Kyle Patrick that qualified for the elites, who was a rookie next year, made a post, and it was like a picture of like 7 units on his front deck. But I mean, you can send him a message to verify that, but I'm 99% sure that was a joke. Now there will be plenty of guys out there running 5 or 6 units next year, probably, because there is no limit for us. So I'm going to be running the same old. I'm not going to say I'm not going to add to it throughout the year, depending on how the year's going and what's happening. But I will start off with my active target 2 and my 4 live pro Lowrance.
But you're running 4, correct?
Yeah. I'm running 4.
Yeah, I'm running 4 12-inch graphs.
Yeah, I am. Keith Wood had a good question earlier. He said, I'm going to let you answer this, Brian, because you've won a lot of money doing this too. How do you know when it's the kind of day, I'm assuming he's asking about conditions, that you're just going to put the trolling motor on high and burn the bank until you find something? Well, I mean, when you're talking to a guy who's also like an offshore specialist and loves to find stuff in that in between.
I do.
But you've also had days where you knew when to do that too.
Right. And for me, that's burning the bank is more of a time of year thing. Is like I used to just burn the bank all the time. It didn't matter.
That's how we all started.
Yeah, that's how we all started. I mean, back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that's how we did it. And you're either burning the bank, skipping a jig under a dock, swimming a jig, throwing a crankbait, throwing a jerkbait, spinnerbait, something. Whatever you were doing, the trolling motor was never on less than like 75%.
Yeah.
And the more I fish tournaments outside of the area I live, we'll say, the more I started slowing down and looking for groups of fish. Because very early in my career, I noticed that, well, this was back when me and Matt first started fishing FLW, and there were 200-something boats, and there was no off limits. Guys would go practice for 3 weeks. So by the time the tournament started, those burning the bank fish were beat to death. Like you couldn't catch one on something obvious. And that was about the time Humminbird was coming out with side imaging, and I started figuring, hey, if I can find something out here to throw at, I can make a lot of money. So that's what I started doing. But that aside, now the burning the bank process comes to time of year for me. So when I'm going to burn the bank, put the trolling motor on high and just go, it's when I know most of the catchable big fish are on the bank shallow. And that generally relates to, I want to say 2.5 seasons of the year. And
2.5 seasons.
2.5 of the 4 seasons. So spawn, post-spawn, that's burning the bank time of year. The majority of the big fish in the lake are in shallower water. They're easily accessible. And the more water you can cover, the more likely to put your bait in front of 5 big fish. So that time of year, I'm burning the bank. And then also in the fall, when you have that fall transition, when the water starts turning over, that is the time to burn the bank as well. But it's kind of for a different reason, because most of the big fish aren't on the bank, but most of the big catchable fish are on the bank. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did you? Sorry, I was reading some comments. Did you mention the turnover?
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned that.
So that was the second season. And the half that I want to talk about is your summertime bite.
2.5.
The half plays into your middle of the summer, dog days of summer, bluegill bed fishing. That's when you can burn the bank with that top water and catch some really big fish, like bright middle sunny of the day when everybody else is fishing offshore. You can usually do that, and those are going to be bigger fish. I mean, those big females are up there feeding on those bluegills, and the more water you cover, the more brim beds you come across, the better your chances of catching the 5 big ones.
Yeah, it is amazing. Obviously, the bite, it's not like you go run that deal and catch.
I've been sick.
What's that?
I said I've been sick. Getting out of
Don't
breath.
be coughing over here.
I told you the other day that I've been taking antibiotics since Friday, so I should.
Oh, you should be good. Yeah, that's 3 days ago. Yeah, so I just saw a comment from Nate that said, Brian, I just talked to Brian Schmidt the other day. We had a good long conversation about all kinds of different stuff going on in the industry, but said he's putting 5 graphs up front.
I talked to Schmidt too. He didn't say nothing
Yeah,
about that. If he did, I didn't pay no attention.
He didn't tell me that. But
He
yeah,
might send me a picture of it.
yeah, I'm gonna text him here after the show.
I know
Actually, I'm
Brian
gonna
News-
screenshot this comment.
Brian New sent me a
And,
picture. I know he's running 4 up front.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me
No, not at all.
at all. Everybody's got scared, man. I'm telling you, all these boys are scared. Somebody's gonna
Outgraph him.
outgraph them. I was looking for the term, but
I mean that's
I'm gonna tell you right now, like, this is probably ignorant, but like, I was able to, like, if I can make Bassmaster Classics with half the graphs that these other boys are running, I'm gonna feel like I beat them in my mind.
yeah. That's.
I mean, I really
that's a
am.
small victory.
Like that's a moral victory. Like
Yeah.
it is. Like and any kind, like it just, I don't know. I just drive me crazy. I mean, tis the game we play, and I'm embracing it. Don't get me wrong, but when these boys are putting 5 and 6 graphs on the front of their boat, then I mean, we're gonna have to build bigger boats.
Yeah.
All I can say, we're not gonna be able to walk around on what we got.
There's got to be a
tripping
point
over
where
stuff.
they've got to start limiting the inches of screen, or there's got to be a stopping point.
Yeah.
Y'all,
he said, don't. I saw a comment earlier that said, just don't leave your graphs at home again. Yep, been there, done that.
What happened?
We were talking about graph setups and all that stuff. Just don't leave them at home again. When I got 14 hours to Champlain and realized my graphs were in Shelby, made for an awesome couple of days of practicing with borrowed graphs from fellow pros and yada yada yada. Thank goodness for good friends, right?
Still worked out pretty good.
Oh yeah, it worked out. Okay, so Nate said that was the Smallmouth Crush live show is where he saw it. So maybe Schmidt was a guest on that show. And some of these guys are, yeah, I mean, that's right, Jeff. You could have 25 graphs on your boat, but if you're not throwing the right bait with the right cadence, and it's a waste of money. That's right. But, here's the thing. What a lot of these guys are doing, and people probably wondering why they're putting so many graphs, transducers, yada, 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 is, forward facing sonar, you're looking out wherever your trolling motor's pointing, or the little, what's the little arm you can put those transducers on too?
Yeah, the little pointer.
Yeah,
thing.
some guys are running 2, and they're running 1 on that arm, 1 on their trolling motor, so they can spotlock the trolling motor, still use this one while the spotlock, things like that. But there's guys that have multiples in multiple places to where they can literally, I don't want to say 360 degrees, but 75% of the way around their boat, they're looking with live sonar all the time now. And that's it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's getting a little out of hand, but it is what it is.
Yeah. People are going to try to do whatever they can.
Yeah, right.
It's nothing
You can't
illegal.
fault them. You can't fault them.
I mean, they're trying to have a competitive advantage.
Yep. That's right.
I mean, it's no different than, researching a bait and figuring a bait out before anybody else does. It's kind of the same thing. The first guy to figure it out is going to do very well with it.
Yep, I agree. And of course, Koya Fujita, who I'm going to deem the best one in the world with electronics, because if you look what he did in 2 years, he came from Japan, He went to the Opens. He almost won the points, made the elites, won a tournament last year, top 10 about 5 of them.
Yeah.
And it was all 100% off of his.
That's a lie.
Huh?
That's a lie.
What?
I remember seeing him catch one off a dock at Seminole on a jig,
You don't think he saw that fish under there on his forefish?
He may have.
Oh, he 100% did.
but he did it like a man.
Well, no, okay, so here's what's funny. You're talking about the hook set deal the other day.
Yeah.
So Bassmaster posted. This is pretty funny. I'm glad you brought that up. Bassmaster has what they call the Bassies, which is like the Espies.
Like the Espies,
Yeah. So Bassmaster is kind of cool. They came up with this thing called the Bassies, and they're putting out awards, and they're going to have the fans and people that follow them on social media vote on them. Okay. And the other day it was the hook set award, best hook set, and it was 4.
So who ended up winning?
It was 4. I don't know yet. It was
they
it was 4 nominations. Koya was one of them. Hackney was one. I think Drew Cook and Fighter was one. Which I have a problem with this. Okay, I have a major problem with this.
All right, lay it out.
Because there's only one man in the Bassmaster Elite Series that sets a hook prettier and harder than anybody on the planet Earth, and that is my roommate Scott Canterbury. And this guy absolutely breaks her neck. And he has, and for him not to be nominated, I got pissed off, and I got on there and I said, I'm voting for E, Scott Canterbury.
Well,
and I had a bunch of likes on that comment too when I posted it on.
Did Scott have a camera on him? Because it's got to be something that they've got footage.
Well, all they got to do is ask. We got GoPros running all day.
That's true, but maybe they want to pull something off the live or off their footage.
Well, it probably is all their footage because it's easier for them to do that. But anyway, I voted for a non-nominee.
I understand.
But that being said, when you're going through that, and I saw Koya's name, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, nobody wants to see somebody setting the hook with a spinning rod.
Oh,
like 7,842 times. And dude, it's the one fish, I swear it's the one fish he caught on a bait caster all year. Because he caught a bunch of his fish and swimming on a spinning rod.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know that, but he did. Mm-hmm. And this joker throws it up under a dock and jacks like a 6-pounder and sets the hook harder than any Japanese angler in the history of bass fishing over in the U.S.
I was impressed.
And when I saw it, I'm like, well, if Canterbury's not on there, I'm actually going to vote for Koya.
Yeah, you got
like
to.
that's who I vote for. So I hope he wins it. I don't know. Is the results in, Tyler? No. And I don't even know how they're doing the results, but hopefully they're letting the fans vote on it. That's the way it should be. So let's talk. I saw a cool question. Oh, who would you pick to win Angler of the Year and Rookie of the Year next year, Matt? By the way, y'all, this is not a new haircut. I got my haircut like 3 weeks ago. It's just been a while since we had a show, and it's not a new pickleball haircut. Somebody said on there, a new pickleball haircut. I got my haircut for pickleball. Yeah,
that does look like a pickleball haircut.
Yeah, I had to impress the 70-year-old women out there.
No wonder you're so good.
Ha 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 ha. Jokes on that. All right, and let's go. Well, let Brian's neutral. Like I'm honestly in the circuit, but. We'll let Brian do this too, and then
We got a comment that said the microphone isn't picking up audio.
The room mic only is getting sound. Oh, well, that's interesting. That's the first comment we've said about that. So, how are you hearing it, Tyler?
We don't have a room mic, do we?
Wishy-washy.
It's wishy-washy, and you're all just now telling me this?
But you can hear it.
So, can you fix
We
it?
need it crisp and clean.
Yeah. It doesn't work wishy-washy.
We're just trying to fix it.
Huh?
We might be able to do this and that, but I don't know what it'll do.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, nice. So, well, apparently everybody can hear us enough, but it sounds echoing. That just means the mics. Okay, Keith Wood said we sounded fine the entire time. Sounds like we're in a barn. So obviously the echo
We got something going on.
is going to be something from the mics. No, don't be touching anything if you don't know what you're doing. Where's Jeff? Did he leave?
We've already conversated this.
I don't know.
Oh,
We're 50-50
wonderful.
on sounds good or sounds like we're in a barn.
Sounds yeah. We get half our comments like sounds good, half of them like sounds like in a barn.
His end. He said, I can hear it good enough. He said, I don't want to mess with it. I said, I don't want to mess
Oh,
with it.
okay.
I mean, honestly, we're probably fortunate everything's working because it's been so long since we did a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what it is. They're tired.
there's definitely an issue with the sound somewhat because I'm getting enough comments to where it's echo and sounds like we're in a barn, but it's good enough to keep.
I agree, Mike. He said we just need more trophies in the room to absorb the sound.
Yeah, or like Big cardboard checks or something.
Yeah,
That usually works.
I agree.
How big was it, Kyle? Said he saw a big buck, or I saw a buck swimming across Lake Norman. Because here's the thing, like when CCBA was fishing their Riley's Catch tournament, not this year but last year.
Yeah.
Like I got a picture and it's posted on the CCBA Facebook page of a buck that one of the boys on the team saw out there on one of the islands.
Oh, I bet it's a big one.
And I was a giant.
Yeah.
Like a legit giant, like big, and I bet you he probably had a doe hemmed up out there. It was in November, you know. And if a buck is going to isolate a doe in the perfect spot to breed her,
It would be on an island.
it would be on an island. I mean, there's humans that do that. They take these, you know, they take their girlfriends or their wives to islands, you know,
That's
to be
true.
alone with them, right?
Took Allie on our 10th anniversary.
There you go.
Wow.
You can stop there. You don't have to give more details.
I wouldn't know. Say we went to an island. All right, we got away from the question.
All right.
Who's your pick for Angler of the Year and Rookie of the Year?
Well, I got to sit here and think about rookies for a minute, but Angler of the Year.
I don't even know where all y'all are going. That's going to factor into who I would pick.
Well, it's gonna be dominated by, you know, forward facing sonar. Because it's gonna be so. It's just going to be 100% driven by forward-facing sonar and technology. So I'm going to go Koya Fujita.
I like it.
On the AOY. And if it can't be me, you know, a nice guy would probably vote for one of his roommates, but they're about as stubborn as I am when it comes to.
Scott's going to be flipping a jig and throwing a buzz bait, you know.
Yep.
Scott Canterbury.
Canterbury, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the guy fishing for largemouth at Champlain when everybody was stroking giant bags of smallmouth.
Yes.
Now he did great.
He did
though.
good.
Like, he
I was
finished
gonna
like
say, he
he
did
probably won the largemouth tournament. You know.
There you go.
Now, but he did weigh in like 50% smallmouth. But like the last day, he had 19 something with all largemouth. And
Yeah.
Nobody else had that. So, all right, let's talk about Rookie of the Year.
I'm with you. I don't.
No,
I
okay,
know
so
who I'm going with.
JT Tompkins.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was kind of at the top of my list.
Dude, it wouldn't surprise me if he won Rookie of the Year and Angler of the Year.
Yeah, JT is far beyond his years for his age, and you know I think I've talked about this on the show, but I don't think anybody realizes or can even fathom how much time on the water that boy's actually spent in the last 3 or 4 years. It's probably double what Brian and I have done together. Like I'm talking about 300 days a year, like for the last 3 years. Like I'm talking about 900 days in the past 3 years, legitimately on the water.
We got lots of sound issues coming through.
Yeah. All right. So there went the sound. That's awesome. Oh, it is good.
Now we're good. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Continue, man.
All right. So we're good. I'm seeing a lot of Milliken comments. You know, I don't know enough about Milliken like I do JT and that crew to pick him as the Rookie of the Year. I know, you know, forward facing sonar is kind of his wheelhouse. Obviously, that's going to be a big player. You know, I think Ben will do fine based on the way the schedule lays out and things like that. But I would have to go with JT.
Yeah, that's who I'm going JT.
All right, you're going JT Tompkins on Rookie of the Year. Who you going with for?
I'll tell you why. There's several reasons too.
Okay.
Not just because he's obviously fishing great right now. He's catching them everywhere, but he reminds me of us when we started. Like he's got this crazy drive to succeed, and it shows in his results and how he's fishing. Like he's so immersed in the sport of bass fishing. Like I think that's all he eats, sleeps, and breathes is bass fishing, and I love that. I think it's awesome.
Got you. All right. Keith said we went to the individual mics now, which is probably what happened, which means if you had us turned way up earlier because of the echo or whatever, then maybe turn it back down and you'll be able to hear us a little clearer. So, yeah. All right, who you got for Angler of the Year?
Me for Angler of the Year? Oh, that's a tough one. Like I want to go with something similar to along the lines of what you said. I don't know the schedule, though. That's the thing.
It's all offshore. That's all you got to worry about.
I don't have any shallow water tournaments.
I mean, we got St. John's and Harris Chain in April, but I think they'll both be one with forward-facing sonar. We have the Classic at Grand Lake in March, which that doesn't have anything to do with AOI, so never mind, disregard that.
Yeah.
Pretty much no, Brian. Walters would be a good pick.
Yeah, Walters, he stands out. There's a lot of people that stand out.
Oh, I forgot about old Jordan Lee coming back, too.
I did, too.
Oh, well, we can include you, Tyler. You picked Jordan Lee for AOI?
I think you're just gonna have like that epic comeback.
Okay, all right.
And I was gonna pick Milliken for rookie.
So Milliken for Rookie of the Year?
One rookie that can fish open.
You mean like, Yeah, because
that's
he's
true. That's a good
he's in
point.
financially good shape. That's a good point. Yeah,
That is
I mean
a good point. And that's a big factor. I mean, that's a big determining factor.
yeah. So yeah, that's good. You know, I'll just I know I already picked Fujita, but I'll throw out a couple that I've been in the running multiple times that just hadn't capitalized on it yet, and that is Patrick Walters, which I've seen his name a bunch, and another one that's kind of flown under the radar is Drew Cook.
He has done very
Drew
well.
Cook has been in the
couple
top 10 AOI a bunch in the past few years. He's still very young in his career and way beyond his years. And he's a very contained fisherman. It doesn't show a lot of emotion, doesn't get rattled real easy.
Yeah.
And to me, like you look at Kyle Welcher, who just won the AOI, who was also used to be a professional poker player. Like that should tell you enough right there about the mentality of
Right.
Kyle. To win AOI, it takes somebody that will not crumble under pressure, because I promise you, when you're vying for an AOI title, there's going to be a lot of pressure sooner than later. In every tournament, everybody's always like, well, you thought about winning an AOI when you're second in AOI or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never won an AOI. I think my highest AOI finish ever is like 6, but I've had a few people ask me throughout the year if I'm sitting in the top 10 or something, like, oh man, it'd be awesome to win AOI. And I'm like, and you're sitting there saying, well, I'm not worried about that right now, but you are.
Oh yeah,
You're worried about
in the back of your mind. You're
correct,
thinking about it.
like you are, and it's how you handle that at each and every tournament, each and every minute of every tournament, because every decision you make is so critical to the outcome of your season.
But it's something you've got to try not to think about, because I know over the course of my career, I blew AOI way more times than I won it. And it seems like,
Well, that's the way it is for everybody.
I know, but it
if you think about
seems like the times I won Angler of the Year, I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't putting that extra mental stress and pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Like I was just fishing like I always do. And
Right.
it seems like every time I put that extra bit of pressure on me to, we got to win this, it seems like that's when I would stub my toe, have a bad event, or something like that.
Yep. Welcher could run it back. So, Jerry, let me touch on that real quick. So, fishing's a funny thing. So, there's only been 2 people to win back-to-back AOI titles ever. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Wheeler and Van Dam?
That's what I was thinking.
I have no idea.
Back-
No, Andy Morgan didn't. Didn't Andy Morgan win back-to-back?
Maybe back in the early
I think
2000s.
13, 14 maybe.
Possibly. You might be right. But it takes a very special individual to do that.
Yeah.
And here's my 2 cents on what happens.
I think Roland Martin might have too.
Probably. Well, he won
I think
9.
there
He
was
won
seven.
9.
Yeah.
So now that being said, it takes. Here's what I think kind of transpires when you win an Angler of the Year title or Bassmaster Classic. And here's some good. And I'm not cracking on these guys. They're close friends of mine. They're unbelievable anglers. But like Clark Wendlandt, Scott Canterbury are 2 names come to mind. Hank Cherry. Guys that have won classics or AOI titles and the next year didn't even make the classic.
Oh yeah.
Because here's what happens. Like you kind of get settled in. Like when you accomplish that goal, you kind of like, not everybody, but you kind of like lay back a little bit. You know what I mean? You get
I'm
a
not
little
going
bit.
to say lay back.
You get
but
too relaxed,
You get
or
a
you
sense
get
of
too.
accomplishment, and you're like, all right, now I can breathe easy for a while. Like,
Yeah,
let's
but
not
you,
go as
but
hard
you
as
have
we've
to
been
keep
going.
your foot on the gas pedal at this
Oh, yeah.
level, and it's like, it's in any professional level sport. Like if you have some success, I mean, it's like a guy who goes out and wins a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
quarterback in the Super Bowl. Like he understands that he comes back next year in order to do that again. He's going to have the perfect year again.
Oh, yeah.
And the work ethic has to not stay the same. It has to even get better.
Yeah,
you
because
got to
the
work even harder.
competition's work ethic is definitely getting better.
Yep. But yeah, so there's been a few over the years, but it is something that's extremely rare and extremely hard to do, I'm sure. But yeah, it's cool to watch. Now we kind of got the chasing rabbits here because we always like to engage and answer questions, y'all, as y'all know, and that's what's great about Let's Talk Fish Live is we get to engage with y'all.
Hey,
but
we get to talk about whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And on top of this, y'all, if you hadn't liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that because a lot of people still aren't aware that that's where we go live when we do have a show on Tuesdays. But we always try to get the word out. Yeah, we always try to get the word out. All right, back to when to say when. Let's talk about a couple other scenarios. Thrift.
All right.
One thing is that comes to mind is when to say when. Let's talk about a bedfish.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And just because I know it's not that time of year, but
because we've all got demons with a bedfish.
yeah,
I mean, we do.
Here's the thing:
if you're a bass fisherman, you've cussed out a bed and bass.
you've cussed out a bedfish,
100%.
Yeah, and I've had such bad vendettas against a specific fish that I've caught him in practice because he pissed me off in practice. I've gone back the day after in a local tournament, possibly, and caught a fish that I couldn't catch the day before that pissed me off. I have done this in a Thursday nighter at Moss Lake, found a big one, and it got dark on me. I couldn't catch him and went back the next day and caught him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like, I can catch you. I know I can catch you. And then the light starts going away because the tournaments are 6 to 9:30, and then it gets dark, and then you're like blind casting to him and
Still
oh my
can't
God,
catch it.
you miss him or something, and then you're like, this sucks.
That's
and then
the
next
worst
day,
ones. When the ones that are nipping at it, you're missing them
Oh,
every
yeah.
cast for an hour straight.
Yep. So when to say when on a bedfish, Brian? I'm gonna let you elaborate
don't
on
know.
that.
The one time I found out when to say when, and I know I've talked about this on the show in several situations, but a couple of years ago we were at Lake Fork for an MLF event, and the championship round was on Lake Athens. Well, I got in this terrible fight with a 3.5 pounder on the bed, and I did not realize
fight.
No, it was a fight to the death. I didn't realize when to say when until into the second period break. We get our 15-minute breaks between periods. That I'd been fishing for this 3.5 pounder for 4 hours, and I'm in last place because I'm going to catch this fish, and not caring about the rest of the tournament. So what? And I always call my wife during the period breaks, just check on her, see how her day's going. And I call her, and she says, will you leave that bass alone and go do something else?
I remember this. I forgot all about that.
So
yeah, that's good
the
stuff.
only time in my life I've ever learned when to say when on a bed and bass.
Pete Brand actually remembers that. He said, in the pads, I remember that one.
Yep.
Your wife called you and told you to leave that bed and bass alone and go do something
her
else.
exact words, and I quote, was, maybe God doesn't want you to catch that bass.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And-
she got a point. How can you argue with that?
Yep. As soon as it was lines in, I trolling motored away on high as fast as I could go.
Well, yeah, and it's all about the fish's, his reaction and how he's set up and the time of the day, your light, your angle, all that stuff plays into effect. But if that fish is showing any aggression whatsoever towards my bait, I'm staying until I catch him.
Yeah.
That's all there is
It's
to
a
it.
little bit different, too, when you factor in like a 5-fish format, like what you
Well,
fish
100%.
versus what
Yeah.
I fish, because I know the score.
Yeah.
And I know where I'm standing. So I can make an educated decision on whether or not it's worth spending time to catch this bass, however many pounds it may be, 2, 4, 6, 8, however.
Yeah.
I know that, if I'm safely ahead of the cut, yeah, it's worth spending time. It's not going to hurt anything. But, if I'm steadily getting past, I need to get away from that. Whereas you don't have that luxury of knowing where you stand during the course of a day.
Yep. And you just have to base it on, obviously not getting wrapped up in the moment. I mean, if that fish, if you're a decent bed fisherman or above average bed fisherman and that fish is showing some type of aggression, typically typically a good bed fisherman will have that fish caught, I would say, under 10 minutes most of the time, under 10 to 15 minutes. Now, there are times when guys have spent an hour or two on fish, but I've caught a ton of bed fish in under 5 minutes, ton of them. You know, I would say the majority of the ones that are set up right and kind of ready to go, you know, less than 5 minutes, and you'll have that fish in the box. Now, there are fish that I've spent an hour on and caught too, but that goes back to what Brian was talking about, factoring in your time management with your 5 fish limit. That how valuable is this fish to you? Do you already have 5 in the box? Yada yada yada. You know, I've caught a lot of fish. And we won't go into a full bed fishing seminar, but I've caught a lot of females that weren't even set up on the bed, just beside the bed.
Yeah.
Caught a lot of fish that weren't even on the bed when I started fishing for it and ended up catching it on the bed, you know. You just have to pay real close attention to every little detail that the fish is telling you. But, all right, another scenario on when to say when. Brian, you found a pattern the day before a tournament like a lot of these people have. I'm sure that watch and listen to our show, and you're catching them, you know, on a buzz bait, and you get 25 bites on a buzz bait in the first 2.5 hours of the morning the day before your tournament. You go out and you throw a buzz bait, and you don't get a bite in the first 30 minutes. When do you say when, and what do you do next?
All right, when do I say when on that buzz bait bite?
When your primary pattern that you found in practice is not working, and it was a dynamite bite the day before. So
normally I'm going to come out of the gate throwing that buzz bait in a situation like that. So I'm going to run, if I run 5 or 6 places and hadn't got a bite on that buzz bait, but I still feel like they're on that same type of structure, like whether you're running, you know, shallow gravelly points or running the backs of boat docks or something like that, I'm going to run that same pattern, but with a bait, subsurface bait. I'm going to swim a jig, you know, burn a chatterbait, something like that that's underneath the water to see if maybe, you know, maybe they just don't want to come up. Maybe they want something down. They're going to feed down.
Yeah.
And you can sample through stuff like that. But, you know, I won't live and die because that to me is more of a, how do I say it? I mean, it's a pattern with the bait, but it's also a lot of a pattern in the location of where those fish are, like the type of structure they're using. Because a lot of times with that buzzbait bite, those fish will be using the same similar types of structures, like I said earlier. I mean, we'll use Lake Norman for an example. They're going to either be on rocky points, rocky corners, they're going to be on riprap, or they're going to be on the backside of docks that are on some type of dredge or rock structure right against the bank on the backside of those docks. So you're running a structure pattern more than you are a specific bait pattern. Just happened to be in practice, they were biting that buzzbait better. So when I come back in the tournament, I'm going to give that buzzbait a fair shake, but it's only going to get 4 or 5 spots. And if I hadn't got a bite yet, I'm going to start swimming that jig, start doing something else to try to see if those fish are still on that structure pattern.
And if they're not,
that makes sense.
Yep. And when to say when. So basically what Brian's saying is you make adjustments on your presentation first, and then figure out if they've completely abandoned that type of structure and slid over to something else.
Yeah.
The buzzbait bite, obviously, that can be conditional too. But Nate, we're getting that time of year, Nate, where any new sponsors this year. I do have one that I cannot really announce quite yet, or would rather not quite yet, but will very soon. Brian, you got anything new for next year?
And I think everything's status quo.
Everything's the same, okay?
We're going the same.
All right, well, good enough.
Rocking the same.
I
like everybody I got.
Yeah. We'll have that info, or I'll have that info for you here very soon, Nate. I do have a trivia question. Don't forget, sponsored by English Choice Marine. We're going to give away one of those sweet. Can they see that, Tyler? Can you even see that? Slide that over this way a little bit.
Do something with that stink bug on the table.
Throw it over here.
Like, that thing's driving me crazy. Is that a stink bug? What is that?
Tyler don't want to touch it. Oh, he just threw it in the floor.
Okay, I thought he was going to thump it at me.
We do have one of these heavy-duty English Choice weigh-in bags, and sponsored by English Choice Marine.
I know for a fact they'll hold 11 pounds of spots from Moss Lake.
11 pounds of 4 spots in a largemouth.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we did have one.
We had the elusive largemouth in that bag. We the weigh-in bag and an English Choice hat for the trivia giveaway tonight. So,
nice.
Again, sponsored by our presenting sponsor, English Choice Marine. All right, we got time to hit on one more question. I hope the little bit of when to say wins helped y'all. I didn't see many questions that related directly to our topic tonight, but if you have some, shoot them in on the next show. We'll try to get them answered as quickly as possible. We obviously apologize we can't get to every question that we get in the live feed, but we do enjoy reading through some of the comments and things after the show. I actually am the only one that probably actually goes on YouTube and reads some of the comments. So if you have any good feedback for us, let us know in the comment section. If you have any questions in the comment section, I try to scan through there when I can, and I'll shoot you an answer when I can too. Brian still doesn't know how to log on to YouTube, so when he figures that out, he might.
I see it right here.
Well, I figure Tyler has to log you on every week.
No, he did a couple times. I got the hang of it.
Okay. Now, Keith, I think
doesn't mean I get on there very often. But.
Keith, we have this. He said we got roaches in the studio already. I said no. We have this influx this time of year in the Carolinas, or at least in Western North Carolina, of stink bugs
and ladybugs.
Yes. It's the dangest thing. I don't know if any of y'all
are water bugs.
Huh?
Water
bugs.
Yeah,
little water beetles.
What's a water bug?
Those big water bugs.
Big. Dude, that's like
that's
you just said like that. That's like 4 inches long.
Yeah. I ain't seen no bug like that.
Yeah, we don't have those at our house, Tyler.
I don't
Everybody I know.
You need to call the pest control service.
Everybody I know has them, other than y'all two apparently.
Well, I mean, we have our houses sprayed.
I can tell you
that
right
makes
now,
a difference.
if Allie's seen a bug that big in our house,
yeah,
like we'd probably have to move out and fumigate the whole house.
Yeah, that's not flying at my house either. No. Absolutely not.
Here's something we can touch on. Not really a question, but a statement. Be good to end up before the.
A statement to end on.
Yeah, just something that's interesting.
Okay.
I mean, let's give our opinions on what we think.
About what?
So Keith Wood says, "I'm probably alone, but I'm a little tired of watching the pros catch nothing but spawning fish most of the year because of how they schedule your tournaments."
Okay.
I'm with you, Keith. I hate it.
Well, guess what, Keith?
Hate it.
There's a 96% chance that next year you might not even see a spawning bass caught on the Elite Series. I mean, you'll probably see a few, but it's not going to be anything like a few of the tournaments in the past. Like, it's not going to be like Santee Cooper was first year Drew Cook won.
Right.
Not going to be stuff like that. But at the same time, 6 in one, half a dozen the other. Would you rather see Thrift sit there and on a 7-pounder and then finally get him to bite and get him in the boat, or watch him with his back, looking at forward facing sonar, throwing at suspended fish? So, you pick your poison.
True.
I mean,
that's true.
I have my opinion. I'll keep it to myself for now.
I don't like it, and here's my take on it.
Don't like what?
I don't like every event being around the spawn.
No, I don't want every event. I'm talking about like one, maybe two tops.
Yeah, maybe one.
Yeah.
I know last year, it seems like 3/4 of our tournaments were spawning fish related.
Yeah.
But I like to have that little bit of, mixing it up, a little bit of everything, because I feel like that puts a little more cloud on the AOI for the year, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, you've got to be more well-rounded, more versatile, be able to do a little bit of everything. Like I would love if we fished 10 or 11 months out of the year instead of the 6 or 7 that we do.
Yeah.
Just from an angular year standpoint. Like, I want a winter tournament. I want a pre-spawn tournament. I want a post-spawn. One spawn tournament. I want a summer tournament, fall tournament. Like, I feel like that shows who the best angler of the year is.
I agree. I think versatility, and the difference, the varieties of techniques, the different depths that people fish,
right?
Unfortunately, are becoming more and more a thing of the past with technology. The way technology is now.
Yeah.
It's just changed it's just changed our game. It just is what it is. Jason said he wished they had some bank beating power fishing tournaments again. They do. Here's the thing. You back up 15 years ago and you put us on these same lakes at the same times 15 years ago, and 50% of the field would be bank beating power fishing. Mm-hmm. The problem with it is, Jason, now is what people aren't seeing is that in order to potentially win a multiple day tournament out there, you have to be targeting a different group of fish now, which, unfortunately, the majority of the year, the majority of the big fish stay off the bank. They stay in weird places. They stay in hard places to find them and catch them. But now they're exposed to the world, and that's what people are targeting.
Yep.
And you can't blame them for that.
Nope.
But yeah, it's funny. J-Man said he'd rather watch the Spawn over the Sabine River, which was obviously my worst tournament last year. But to me, that is one of the coolest tournaments to watch. Like, they're little tiny bass, okay? But it's shallow water power fishing, first of all. I don't know if anybody was catching them using forward-facing sonar in that event. I might be wrong. Probably am wrong. But I don't think anybody was. A lot of flipping, a lot of swim jigging, a lot of chatterbaiting, a lot of top water.
And a lot of the forward-facing sonar depends on the lake, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like you look, well, I mean, just case in point, last year at Redcrest at Lake Norman, like, I would have bet somebody in the top 10 would have been using forward-facing sonar, but nobody really was.
Yeah.
Like, not solely. Like, you couldn't do it solely and have a good event. You had to mix in some docks and some shallow stuff and some offshore
I see a
stuff,
couple comments from Jeremy and Pete and all that they love watching the Sabine River tournament, and that's why. It was like a breath of fresh air. So it's nice to have those tournaments. And I'm like Brian, man. We really need to. I think one of the biggest things moving forward is scheduling.
Yeah,
where we are and
agree.
when we're there.
That's why I'm looking forward to our MLF schedule this year. I mean, I hate to say that because I hate fishing tidal rivers, but it is going to mix like we've got
that's got to be part of it.
We've got two tidal rivers on the schedule. I mean, so it's going to throw some wrenches in there. I mean,
tidal rivers are very entertaining typically too.
Yeah.
To the fans. Like tidal rivers are typically fun to fish, fun to watch people fish. Yeah. It's a lot of different variables. Typically there's a lot of power fishing involved, so should be interesting. Now, watch somebody go win it on a drop shot forward facing sonar and brush piles or something like that. I don't know. All right. Trivia question time. It's 8:03. Somebody asked me if that deer was one I had been hunting. The deer that I shot last week or whenever it was a deer that I'd been hunting for.
That's the one that was sitting at his stand when I had him out at Moss Lake.
Correct. Yep.
He was mad at me in the fog delay.
And it was a deer that
I think it was worth y'all's time.
Yeah, well, I won't tell you what I told Thrift that day.
He was mad at me.
I'd have probably give the money back if I'd have shot that deer that morning. I know. I'll meet up with it. I'll admit. But yeah. So he's now in the freezer. Thrift's tagged out. I still got one buck tag left.
Yeah.
All right. So the trivia questions, I'm not allowed, for anybody that knows, I'm not allowed to talk deer hunting on the show because it's called Let's Talk Fish. Brian yells at me. Some of the viewers yell at me.
I mean, you're like a couple minutes each show.
Okay, well, I'm only going to do it for 30 seconds tonight because of a trivia question because I asked you.
I don't even know what the trivia question is.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
it. So I can leave?
I need rounded off. Here's a trivia question, y'all. This is for, by the way, Angler's Choice heavy duty weigh-in bag and Angler's Choice hat.
This wasn't his question.
Yeah, it was. Yours was a little different. It's not 137 inches, Justin. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. You gave me the idea. So, yeah.
Half and half.
Yeah, 50-50.
That's right, Ryan. He didn't bring any summer sausage.
No, y'all are like, you're guessing the score of my deer. So I was going to use that, but I'm not.
I thought that's where you was going.
No.
I'm with y'all. I thought that's where he was going.
Y'all, it's not the score of my deer. Stop sending 98. Now, that's just an insult, Ryan. I know we hunt North Carolina deer, but it ain't a 98 incher. Come on, man. Buddy. I mean, okay, I'll go ahead and tell y'all that answer because it's not even the trivia question. But
what was it?
Buddy Black's right. It was 132 inches
He
gross.
probably already knew, so that don't count.
He already knew anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But anyway, y'all, that's not the 19. All right, here's a trivia question for real, y'all. So, by the way, the winner needs to send us a message on our Facebook page with your shipping information. We'll get that hat and the weigh-in bag out to you ASAP. I need to know the weight of the buck I killed.
Whoa.
The net, I mean the raw weight. No, this is not dressed or anything.
Live on the hoof.
Live on the hoof. He said live on the hoof. I love how you said that. I need to know to the nearest pound the raw weight of the deer I killed. Can you say that?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, it's coming in too fast. We got some close ones.
Ooh, that one was close. Oh, got it.
Do you?
Yep.
All right, who had it?
Pete Brent.
Where's it at?
Right here on my feet.
Oh, I see it. Now, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, okay. God, I see 3 right ones. But I see Pete
was
Brandt's
first.
definitely the first one. It was 202 pounds. It was 202 point. No, it was
That's
20.
a fine North Carolina deer.
It was 201.8, but you rounded off the nearest pound. It was 202. So 202, Pete. You are the El Champion. So, Pete, send us a message to our Facebook page. Make sure you give us your shipping information, and we'll get this weigh-in bag and the hat out to you as soon as possible. And, this deer, first of all, we hunt in North Carolina. A lot of y'all must know North Carolina deer pretty well because I see a lot of 180s, 190s, things like that. A gigantic deer.
Ryan, that's awesome.
I like it, Ryan. Yeah, I like it. A gigantic deer in North Carolina is like 200 pounds, okay?
Yeah, that's a good one.
A 2-year-old deer in Kentucky is like 200 pounds, like Western Kentucky where I used to hunt it. And then you get up to like Iowa and places like that. I mean, you got 2.5-year-old deer that probably weigh like 225, 240, I mean, you got some mature bucks that are 270, 280, Kansas, it's just a different animal altogether. But he was actually very skinny. He had been running really, really hard, lost his gut, lost a lot of weight. It kind of that old sunk in gut, but still had that big rear end and big front end. But he did. He weighed 201.8, and yeah. So congratulations, Pete. Guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in, gals.
Yep.
Everybody, yeah, buddy. I'm glad you didn't answer because you knew that answer too. You're not allowed to answer if you already know. But yeah, Pete, don't forget to send us a message on our Facebook page. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you don't like and follow us on Facebook, be sure to do that because that is where all our archive shows are. And, of course, they go to all the podcast platforms, too. This show will be on.
Ryan's on a roll tonight.
Yeah,
I like him.
He is. Oh, you like Ryan because he's picking on Matt?
Yes. Making my job easier. Thank you.
Again, we appreciate it. Brian, you want to sign us off?
I can.
All right, go
Hey,
ahead.
show next week? What we got going next week?
I don't even know, man.
Maybe.
It's getting close to Christmas, so we'll be in and
We
out.
got to do a Christmas show.
But we'll figure it out. We'll have a show before Christmas.
Maybe.
All right, get us signed out.
Remember, guys, if we can't go fishing, what are we going to do, Matt?
Sit here on Tuesdays and talk fish.